Welcome to another episode of Spelling Bee Ninja, where we dive deep into the nuances of English language learning. Today, we are exploring a particularly intriguing subject, the difference between will and shall. This might seem like a simple topic, but understanding these two modal verbs can significantly enhance your fluency in English. Whether you're preparing for exams, writing formal emails, or simply engaging in conversations, mastering will and shall can make a big difference. Let's jump right into this lesson. To begin with, let's talk about the basic uses of will and shall. In modern English, will is the go-to modal verb to indicate future actions or events. For example, when someone says, "I will go to the store," it denotes a straightforward intention or a decision made at the moment. Now, shall, on the other hand, is often viewed as something more formal or traditional, particularly in British English. It can express suggestions or obligations, but it's not as commonly used in everyday conversation as will. You should be particularly aware of this distinction when you're writing or speaking in more formal contexts. Now, think about the difference in tone between both words. Will is often seen as neutral, ideal for conversations about routine plans or future events, while shall carries a weight and expresses a level of seriousness or formality. For example, saying "we shall meet tomorrow" feels more resolute and formal compared to "we will meet tomorrow." This trend continues into where and how these verbs are used. Generally, shall is more likely to appear in legal documents, formal proposals, or declarations. As you practice your English, notice where shall pops up, especially in British texts, where it retains prominence. It can be exciting to see the slight nuances at play. Let's take a step back and think about making offers and suggestions. When making a suggestion, particularly in a formal setting, you might choose shall. For example, "Shall we go for lunch?" suggests collaboration and includes the listener in the decision-making process. On the contrary, "Will you go for lunch?" while perfectly correct, leans more toward issuing a request rather than a shared proposal. This delicate difference can significantly impact the politeness level of your conversation. Speaking of politeness, when you want to formulate questions or make requests, shall often sounds more polite than will. This is why you might hear people say, "Shall I open the window?" instead of "Will I open the window?" This verbal choice elevates your tone from a mere statement to an inviting question. Now let's transition to promises. When it comes to making promises, will is your best choice. When you say, "I will always support you," that's a commitment, a promise of future action. Thus, will becomes synonymous with determination and assurance. Conversely, while shall can indicate obligation, it rarely communicates a promise in the same way will does. When discussing obligations, shall can also carry legal weight. Phrases like, "You shall complete your assignments by Monday," assert a strong expectation or rule. Here, it's crucial to recognize the context. Shall conveys seriousness and often pertains to laws or rules. These subtle distinctions between intention, commitment, and obligation can help you communicate more effectively. Now, let's consider the everyday scenarios that ESL learners might encounter. Imagine planning a weekend with friends. You might say, "I will come over on Saturday," indicating your plan, while to suggest an activity, you might offer, "Shall we watch a movie?" Here, shall draws your friend into the conversation, opening room for discussion. In casual English, will reigns supreme because it complements how most people communicate day to day. It connects easily and is understood universally among English speakers. However, if you find yourself in a formal setting, like a meeting or an official discussion, consider incorporating shall to underline the gravity of the conversation. Moving forward, practice is key. Pay attention to the ebb and flow of these modal verbs as you listen to native speakers. Notice how they choose will for casual discussions and shall in more serious contexts. A thoughtful observation of these subtleties will also improve your understanding of English as a whole, reinforcing its nuances. Now that we've discussed different contexts and the roles these words play, remember the fundamental takeaway: resolve to notice how will and shall are used in conversations, media, or literature. With time and practice, you'll find yourself using them accurately, enhancing your fluency with every conversation. Keep excited about discovering the richness of the English language. To wrap up our discussion on will versus shall, it's essential to remember that will is typically used in everyday situations to express future intentions, while shall carries a formal tone often reserved for serious or polite situations. Understanding these uses can enrich your communication style and improve your connection with English speakers. Reflecting on the contexts in which you use these verbs will lead you toward more precise and engaging conversations. Thank you for joining this episode of Spelling Bee Ninja. We hope you found this exploration of will and shall enlightening. Keep practicing these concepts as you engage in your English learning journey. Don't forget to tune in next time for more insights into mastering the English language. Until then, keep learning and communicating with confidence.